The students are the future voters. We're the next generation to bring about change into the world. We're the next politicians, the next doctors. So it is important for us to start somewhere and be educated on what's going on in the world. There have been many instances throughout history where students have been the force of change. Like in the 70s, there's a huge hippie movement, and those were all college students who were fighting against the Vietnam War. And it is important for the adults, because students cannot vote until they're 18 years old. So it is important for us to show those who do vote, this is what we want, instead of they choosing kind of more what they want, because it's our future. So we must persuade our voters what the children actually want. April 20th was the anniversary for the Columbine shooting, which was a massive shooting that happened in the United States, which caused a lot of children and people our age to die. So it's very important for us to have it on that day for the National Walkout, for us to get our message across. We started preparing 2 months prior to the actual walkout. We had meetings every Wednesday at my house. We also got together with the school district, like other students from each district, twice a week at someone else's house to talk about it, and we texted all the time. We were always on FaceTime, so we really 24/7 talked to each other, preparing for this walkout, and we're getting other resources to make sure this goes smoothly, and we're talking to our admins to make sure that we follow the rules as best as possible. We are doing civil disobedience, but we also want kids to a lot of kids are worried about college and they don't want to, get their scholarships taken away. So we have to make sure that they can participate if they want to without getting in trouble. So there was a lot of preparation going into it. A lot of adults think that students shouldn't be participating in things like controversial issues or politics in general because we're not very educated. But with social media, I believe a lot of teens especially are actually more educated than adults, because we actually see what's going on, and we have many resources to go off on what we're saying. So we actually do know what we're talking about.
Yeah, try to tell us that we don't know what we're talking about, because we know what we're talking about.
End gun violence! End gun violence! End gun violence! No more silence! End gun violence! No more!
Go ahead.
My name is Victor Medina. I'm 17 years old and in 11th.
Making a f***ing racket. Y'all need to go back to school.
Hey, we're out of school, we're off campus, and we're up in
Go
public
back to school.
And if we don't,
It's all right, man. I promise. That's all it is.
I've already called in a noise complaint. I've called a noise complaint. You guys are making a racket.
Priority right here. I'm sorry.
I have what now?
you have something to say. I'm literally letting you speak.
Y'all need to go back to school and keep the noise down. There are people that live over here.
Okay.
Protest somewhere else other than disturbing the neighbors that live here.
Y'all be quiet. Y'all just.
You don't own this. So just be respectful. Be respectful. Hold on. Be respectful of the taxpayers that live over here.
They have rights to be here. We have rights to be here. We have rights. You have rights. We have rights.
Y'all decide to protest, and you do it in a place where nobody's around to witness your protest.
That is a First Amendment right that we have.
I've already called the police and filed a noise complaint.
Great. So what are you doing here?
It is. Then we will.
Sure deal. Why are you all up in my face with your camera?
Sir,
Am I in your face?
Sir, we will.
I'm like 3 feet
You might
from
as well
you.
be, because you're following me everywhere I walk.
3 feet from you.
On me.
Sir,
You chose to come out here. I didn't
We will
approach
keep
you.
it down.
You
I
approached
didn't approach
us.
you.
You approached us.
I did not approach you.
Okay.
You're the one that approached me, and you've been following me with that camera.
I haven't
You're
followed
pretty
you
funny
anyways.
with it
I'm
shoved
standing
up your
right.
ass if you don't get it out of my face.
I'm standing right here.
Don't touch my camera.
Sir, we have the
touch
First
my
Amendment right to be
camera.
here. You do not have any legal right to
Don't
put your
touch
hands on
my
anyone
camera.
else. Sir, if
Don't
the
touch
police come
my
and they see you
camera.
hurting anyone,
Don't touch my
I
camera.
am just telling you, we have the First Amendment right
So
to be
tell
here.
him
You
to
do
let
not.
go.
You do not have the right to
Tell him to let go.
Let go, sir. Please let go.
Let go of my camera.
I just said not to do it, and you didn't.
Hey, more, bro.
You broke my tripod.
Today's event is rooted in more than right and left-wing agendas. Gun violence is an issue that affects U.S. citizens universally, regardless of your political belief, economic stance, or community. The Parkland shooting happened to be in an affluent community just like Frisco, but it should be noted that gun violence like this happens in communities of all stripes all the time. Today we are marching for the innocent lives that could have easily been saved had they been valued over the donations from the NRA or the arbitrary interpretations of the Second Amendment. And while of course it is a great privilege we have to protect ourselves from harm's way, we must draw the line at inhibiting freedoms of others, namely the freedom to write, the freedom to life. There is no excuse for the lives lost at Parkland in the 1,373 mass shootings since Sandy Hook and the Florida shooting this morning.
We're not just fighting a fight just for the sake of fighting.
For gun reform, we, the students, demand for change!
Reform is necessary. Change for the safety of Americans with gun regulation is necessary. For this, we stand for the lives lost from Columbine 19 years ago today. The lives lost from Sandy Hook.
We are actually fighting for something that we believe in and something that we believe needs to be done. And a lot of people also like clarify that the walkout wasn't to get rid of guns in America. We just need stricter gun control, and that's the whole point. We do believe in the Second Amendment, so I just want to clarify that. Yeah.
If we dare to make people uncomfortable, we dare to start conversations. We met high school organizers across Frisco who are walking out at every single Frisco ISD high school. Together with you all here today at every Frisco ISD high school and thousands of schools across the country, we're showing the power of students being engaged in civic activism.
We demand change! We demand change! We demand change! Jaquan Oliver, 17 years old, will never again. Scott Beagle, 35 years old, will never again. Rachel Scott, 17 years old, will never again. Emily Parker, 6 years old, will never again.
And maybe some of you will decide you don't agree with us, but this movement is about learning to decide whether you agree or disagree. It's about learning to make independent political decisions so that we can all vote more responsibly when the time comes. But I'm not going to demand you vote a particular way unless you share the same interests. So today, find out what you're passionate about, what you demand to happen, and use the power our country gives you of suffrage and free speech to make whatever you want come true.
On April 20th, 1999, I was a 17-year-old junior in a high school in the suburbs of Denver called Columbine. Our path of escape took us within a few feet of some of our recently fallen classmates. And the trauma of the moment hit like a flood. We were safe, but so many others were not. 2 fellow classmates had shot and killed 12 students and a teacher, injuring many more before ultimately taking their own lives. I survived, and I'm forever the survivor of a school shooting that doesn't leave you, that stays with you.
The cruel behavior that defined the end of his life showed me that he was a completely different person from the one I knew. Afterwards, people asked, "How could you not know? What kind of a mother were you?" I still ask myself those same questions. For years after the tragedy, I combed through memories, trying to figure out exactly where I failed as a parent.